From San Antonio, Texas, home of the Alamo, the Riverwalk, and the World Heritage San Antonio Missions, this is the ExitMap Podcast, hosted by John F. Dini, the exit planning coach. Designed to help advisors who work with business owners, John talks with top professionals in the exit planning field about best practices, marketing tips, and how to be more effective when working with owners. Now, here's John F. Dini.
Welcome to the ExitMap Podcast, which is hosted by the Exit Planning Coach. That's me. I'm John F. Dini. And my guest today is Mike Huey. Mike has been in sales for 30 years. He has been scaling companies for the last 15. And he's the founder of Scalable Sales Solutions. He helps business owners move from founder-based sales to scalable sales, either to address markets across the country or to help them get their company ready for sale, which is a really interesting area that I'm going to talk to Mike about for a sales consultant. Not many of them in the exit planning world. So, Mike, welcome. You're up in Monticello, Minnesota.
I'm in Minnesota. Yes, thank you. It's a real honor and privilege for me to be on your podcast. I've enjoyed working with you, and when I was down in San Antonio last year, I really enjoyed having a meal with you and getting to know you personally a lot better. So it's a real honor.
Yeah, well, it's fun to have you on. Let me open up with what I've already mentioned. Sales consulting and sales improvement processes don't typically have exit planning in mind. And right. You have combined the two. What made you decide to... Now, I know you've been doing this for 15 years. I know you haven't had your SEPA for 15 years. What made you decide to concentrate on the exiting part of it?
Well, that's a great question. I had taken a small business and scaled it across the country. It was my best friend's business. He had 7 employees, just 2 accounts. And by the time I was done, I had scaled them all over the country. I learned so much. You know, we had offices covering 13 states, and half the Big Ten schools were our clients. It was just a real success thing. So I launched my consulting firm to say, hey, there's a lot of companies that would like to know how to scale like I did. So I was doing that. But then I noticed 2 things. One, there were a lot of older people who were like saying, thank you for getting me out of the way. I know my company is more valuable now that it's not founder-led. I actually have a sales team, or maybe I have a manufacturer rep firm, systems, or something, but it wasn't dependent on the founder. But I'm too old. I don't want to scale all over the country. I just want out. That was the first indicator that I needed to make that adjustment. Secondly, one of my board members, John Turner, worked for he was a banker for M&A. He was just buying and selling, flying all over the country. He goes, Mike, you do the exact same thing for scaling a company that you get a company ready for sale. You get the founder out of the way. You have repeatable sales systems and cash flow things. And you need ExitMap. So he was at the EPI national thing, and he put me onto you years ago and said, ExitMap is the system you need. And so I subscribed. I got my SEPA, and we've been helping clients ever since doing both. So right now we actually help both, because the reality, John, you know how it is. Some business owners, they think they want to scale, something adjusts in the marketplace, and they go, oh, I want out. But if they haven't been doing any exit planning, you can't it's not like selling a house, it takes some time to do that. So you need to be doing both at the same. So we actually help them get ready for scale and sale at the same time, so that they can adjust and pivot as they see fit.
Great. Yeah, I know. In a past life, I was a Main Street business broker. And, I say often, the calls you get saying, I've decided it's time to sell my business. Can you have me out in 30 days?
Yeah.
And they're so not ready.
It's so not ready. It's so not ready. And the reality is, when I launched Scalable Sales Solutions, I literally spent a day and a half thinking through my exit, talking to another SEPA, talking to someone, what should my company look like when I sell? Because not a lot of people buy consulting firms.
Sure.
And I wanted to create something that's actually a sellable asset. But most people don't start their company or buy a company like that. It's more reactive rather than creative, and saying, what should I create to make this a sellable asset?
Okay, so one of the great things about this podcast I'm ADD, and we'll go in any direction that occurs to me at the moment. So what are you doing to make a consulting firm a saleable asset? That's really interesting.
Yeah, well, first of all, I've taken my systems on the operations side. We understand doing operations. All of my consulting systems modules are all systemized. And so as of 2 months ago, I stopped doing my own consulting. My consulting teams run my systems. So that's the first step, is you have to have a repeatable system process that other people are running besides the owner. So we're now at that point with the consulting side of it. And I'm speaking at conferences and workshops and stuff. So I'm doing the speaking, and I'm still doing the sales side of it until you get over a certain threshold. Then it makes sense to hire a salesperson to do it. So, but you got to have a whole company that has a revenue generating system and a revenue fulfilling system that can run without the owner. Once you have that, people will buy it. So that's part of it. That's part of what we do.
Great. So your first meeting with a client prospect, you sit down with a business owner, and I imagine that they don't. Well, let me not put words in your mouth. Do they typically call you for sales help, or is it frequently for exit planning help?
Yeah, it's almost always they're wearing the sales hat. They're wearing too many hats in the company. They're frustrated. And a lot of your listeners are probably in the same boat where they're coming in, maybe they're CPAs. People approach them not necessarily for exit, but they need help with their tax, or they need help getting their books lined up, and they need a fractional CFO, whatever it is. And what we found was, instead of just helping them with sales, we used to just help with sales. Then when the sales system was done, then we'd move into exit planning. But we noticed a lot of people didn't make that jump or connection, and we couldn't help them as much as if when we start with ExitMap right away alongside our sales system, that's when we're getting better results. And so we certainly start with sales systems. You need to get the sales hat off, but you also need this, just 1 hour a month. Let's just work on 1 hour a month to focus on the value of your company. And if you stay with us and we work with you for a couple of years, we'll probably make an impact of over 7 figures. So it's an easy sell that way, to just say we have to be doing that also.
Sure. Some guy said something about begin with the end in mind. I think Covey, I think it was.
Yeah, Stephen Covey said something like that.
Yeah.
But it does help you focus on what you want to create then versus, creating in a vacuum and being responsive to the marketplace. So that's what we've got.
So what's your ideal client relationship? Are you looking for super long term? Are you looking for episodic project type stuff? How do you work?
Well, what we do is when somebody comes in, and you've got a lot of listeners who are maybe CPAs or they do exit planning too.
Sure.
If they ever brought us in, we're not going to step into their world. We'll just work with the sales systems. Does that make sense? And so what we do is we do an assessment. That's 42 different areas of sales and marketing. And normally we do the exit map assessment also. So they do it. We start right away with the exit map assessment in the engagement. Then we lay out, here's the 5 or 6 things you need to be working on in your business. One of those will probably be value enhancements, and because we tell them, whether you want to exit or not, you need to go through the exit map methodology to increase your value. So that if you want to grow by mergers and acquisitions, the bank's really attracted to you, and they're looking for the same things, right? So it's the same. And so then we just start with working on those projects. But for us, our probably average engagement is somewhere around 1.5 years.
Okay.
And what we're doing is we tell people we have it risk-free for our clients. And everybody on this line can steal this from us. I hate risk. John, you like risk when somebody comes to you and tries to sell you?
Not particularly,
Exactly. So we created a way that's risk-free for our clients, and we say, hey, every month we meet with the owner for 15 minutes and say, hey, this is what we did this month. This is what we're going to do. But scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you got a great ROI this month on your money and your time, and 1 being you're just frustrated, you want a refund. Where would you score us? And every month, if we don't get a 9 or 10, we either refund their money or we figure out what's needed to make it a 9 or 10. So because of that, every month we're working to make sure that engagement is happy and moving forward. So we've had numerous people say, oh yeah, I thought I'd come to you for 2 or 3 months and it's been over a year, but every month I get this ROI. So, I'd be a fool to not keep going. So make sense?
Yeah, that's as a net promoter score, that's even tougher than I think 8 is considered a win in the NPS methodology. So
exactly
9 or 10, you're holding yourself to a higher standard. That's great.
Thank you.
That's great. What is the most important factor when you sit down with a prospect?
Yeah.
What are the magic words or the magic thing that converts a prospect into a client?
Oh, that's a great question. What we usually do is we're looking for their needs. And if their needs are real, and they have a felt need, and they feel trust with us, we try to be really trustworthy. If it's not a good fit, we refer people all the time to different people. It's not our first meetings. I bet you I refer 40% of those people to other companies because we're just not the best fit for them. So when people find out, hey, they're being really genuine, they're really trustworthy, then it's usually more of what's your need? We send them a video showing us what the roadmap is that we are going to take them through before we have a closing meeting. So they have plenty of time to sleep on it. They know our systems, they know our packages, they know our pricing. And then when we have the last meeting, it's more of, are we a good fit or not? And so I try to get that so that it's not a sales pitchy meeting. It's are we a good fit meeting?
Mm-hmm.
And if we're a good fit, we can figure out the pricing later. If you can't afford, our gold package or our silver package, well, then let's go with the bronze package. Whatever works for you. Because I do tell people too, they got to protect their cash flow. Cash flow is part, the blood of the company, right? So that's what we do. It might not answer your question directly, but we're a real soft sell. We don't believe in hard selling.
Okay. I'm going to take a break to pay for the podcast. Before we do, of course, we'll have this on the podcast wherever we post it, and it'll be in all the normal places. But contact information for you. How do people get a hold of you?
Well, the easiest to remember is MikeHuey.com. MikeHuey. Now, that's for me speaking at conferences and all kinds of stuff like that. But there is a link to my actual business company, which is Scalable Sales Solutions.com. But if people wanted to, go to MikeHuey.com and they can get directed that way and go from there.
Okay, great. We will be back in, I think it's about 45 seconds. But it's been a pleasure so far. When we come back, I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about the issues you have with clients and what your challenges are. Okay?
Yep.
Okay, be right back.
The fastest way to lose a client is to treat the exit as the finish line. The surest way to keep one? Make what's next part of the plan long before any transaction. ExitMap changes everything and turns next step planning into your strongest retention tool. ExitMap is the only structured discovery system built to be the first step in every advisory relationship. The 5-meeting process helps advisors guide owners through the essentials of successful transition planning, financial readiness, business readiness, and personal readiness, so they gain real clarity about what life looks like after the business. You guide the process by facilitating deeper conversations. They own the plan by discovering their own priorities and defining what success truly looks like. The result? A documented set of goals, a personal vision, and a prioritized action plan. Built by the client, giving them clarity about their future and giving you a roadmap for supporting it. ExitMap. You guide it, they own it. Take a test drive at exitmap.com.
Welcome back to the ExitMap Podcast, hosted by the Exit Planning Coach. I'm John F. Dini, and this is Mike Huey. We've been talking to Mike about his company, Scalable Sales Solutions. Yeah. And as I threatened just before we went off, I was going to ask him, what's the biggest challenge you have when working with a client? What do you keep running into?
Well, we keep running into people who really don't know where they want to go. And, having an owner figure out what they want after they sell the business is a big hurdle. And we have to sit down with them. I mean, that's one of your 4 areas in the ExitMap methodology, right?
Yes, very definitely.
Where do they want to go? And once we help them get there, then it makes it a lot easier. Because you can work on the operations, you can work on finance, you can work on sales. But if the owner doesn't really know where they're going, I think we just talked before the break, start with the end in mind, and many of them don't have an end in mind.
Right.
They just don't have it.
Yeah, that's why we develop that personal vision, obviously, and it's difficult for them. It's trouble. You know as well as I do. You can't play that much golf. I don't care how much you love the game.
Yeah, exactly.
That is not a vision for the future.
Yeah. No, it's so true. There's this aspect of, there was a great book I read years ago called Thou Shalt Prosper. It's written by a Jewish rabbi who also owns businesses, and his family studied the Jewish phenomenon for generations. Huh. But he said, one of the things, the Hebrew language doesn't change. English and all other languages do change. And he said, you can look at ancient Hebrew, and it's the same today as it was then. And he said, one of the things we think in language, if I say something, you think in your native tongue. He said, there is no word in the Hebrew language for retire. Huh. That retirement is a completely foreign concept. Huh. And so, but that's what we think. Oh, I'll sell the company, I'll retire, I'm going to sit down and go golf, I'll do this, that. And then 6 months, 9 months later, people are bored. They don't have a life vision, life passion, whatever that is.
Right.
So, really,
well, as you know, we preach that entrepreneurs move forward to things. They don't move away from things very well. Yeah. They need to have the next thing in their sights.
Yep. Yeah. One of the things, like if I turned off my screen, you'd see in the back, I have a vision board of what I want. After I sell the company, I want to create this foundation, and this is what I want to be doing. You don't have to have a foundation as your goal, but for me, that is. You follow me? And so we have something. I want to be writing and speaking after I sell the company. And you can tell I write books, right? So have something that you're doing that's constructive and benefiting society.
How do you market? I mean, sales and marketing are 2 different disciplines.
Yeah, that is a loaded question, because we have struggled in the past. I started initially doing LinkedIn messaging. Well, LinkedIn messaging is so loaded down now. I mean, AI. I bet you have 6 or 7 vendors, and I just fired one 2 weeks ago, because we're just not generating leads that way. And one of the things I tell people to stay away from is business to consumer lead gen, like Google ads or AI ads or whatever that LinkedIn ads is, a business to consumer model versus a business to business model. Business to business lead gen, some examples are networking. Networking generates a lot from us. Speaking and writing generates leads for us. In fact, this Make Your Company Scalable and Saleable, I think it generated a client within 3 or 4 months of publication. Having systems like that help. But I also think, one of the biggest things that people just ignore, I don't know why, but if you have really happy clients, Usually, last I heard, John, business owners know business owners.
Yeah.
And first quarter was a record quarter for us, not because we had tons of new leads, but it was because we had referrals from our clients.
Mm-hmm.
That's a business to business. But a lot of companies, they don't really nurture that. They don't know how to work with it. They think they're going to sound desperate or something. That's not true. If they're happy, hey, do you know 2 or 3 other business owners that might be in the situation that where they could get the sales hat off? Or if I was a fractional CFO, do you know 2 or 3 other business owners who probably could get help cleaning up their finances? Whatever it is you provide,
Mm-hmm.
ask for referrals if you've done a good job.
Sure. Yeah. Certainly in the financial planning community, and especially in the insurance community, you see these signature blocks on emails. The best compliment you can give me is a referral to another client or something, which is nice. But if you ask for it on every single email, I think people get walls up. They're like, oh, well, wait a minute, I want to see what you do first, and then by the time you really do it, they would give you the referral anyway.
I'll just share I didn't mean to cut you off, John. I apologize.
No, fine.
Our methodology, we don't want to sound desperate, and we don't want to sound like what you're saying. So what we do, usually within 3 months, maybe 4 months, people are really starting to receive the benefit. And maybe I'll talk about the J system of motivation with an engagement. But after they get the first 2 or 3 months and they're starting to get deliverables, that's when we ask them, hey, you see the value. That's when they're most excited to be able to share it. And we ask that, and that's it. Then maybe once a year, as we're looking at the annual things, hey, things going on. We're doing an annual review with you. 1 or 2 other people you'd be willing to give us their contact information that we can drop your name. Really simple. So, but that's it. That's our system.
Okay, now you've hooked me. What is the J?
Okay, the J system of motivation. I tell people when you come join us as a client, you're going to go through the J system of motivation. Like when you first start, you're all excited. But after a month or 2 of just doing stuff to get it ready, your motivation for this engagement kind of goes down. You're not quite as excited. It's kind of like if you ever were in a part of sports, spring camp for baseball or football or something. You have the camps and you're doing all the stuff and you're doing the drills. It's not very exciting until you get to have the first game. Now you're at the bottom of the J. Now all of a sudden you're starting to see deliverables. Things are starting to happen. We're hiring sales. We're increasing our value on our ExitMap. Now all of a sudden the other side of that letter is going up and it surpasses where you were initially, and it just skyrockets because you're excited about what's happened. But you have to be willing to go through those first 2 or 3 months of dropping down of we're just doing stuff to get the foundation laid.
Boy, that's great. That's great. You have a gift for putting things in a cogent format. And one of the things I loved on your website is the GROW methodology. Talk about that for a second.
Well, it's just an analysis of being able to say where are things at. In fact, if you want, go to scalablesalessolutions.com, and that will show you what John's talking about. Basically, the first part is you got to be able to assess where things are at, and that's the gauge step of just where are things at. I had a problem with my shoulder, went to the doctor. They could have just said, hey, no, take Tylenol. But no, they did an MRI on it, and we found what the real problem is. Next is kind of reveal what's happening. Where's the gaps? What's the situation? What are things that we have to do? Organize a game plan. I mean, actually, the more I think about this is the same thing that you do with ExitMap assessments. We get the initial assessment. Then we go through the 5 meetings with ExitMap. That's the revealing, getting all that stuff. And then the 5th session is the organize. Okay, now what's the top 3 priority things we're going to do? And we start winding down task after task after task as we start knocking those off, and we send those off to the archive folder that we got those finished. So it's basically gauge, reveal, organize, and then wind down. That's the GROW method, GROW. So
That's cool. That's cool. So, as you, I didn't check. I know I've got it here somewhere. When did you get your SEPA?
Not long ago, but I don't know, probably 3 years ago, maybe
Okay.
2 or 3 years ago.
Well, then you've even from 3 years ago, you've seen the explosion of
Yep. Yep.
quarterly classes have become monthly classes.
Yep.
80 or 100 attendees have become 250 attendees. So there's a
Yep.
lot of people coming into the exit planning space.
Yes.
What would be your advice to a brand new exit planner, a newly
Great
minted
question.
exit planner?
Yeah, I think one of the best things to do is two pieces of advice. Number one is have something else besides exit planning that you do. You're an attorney, you're a CPA, you do operational efficiency. We do sales systems and processes, something, whatever it is. Could be a simple one would be executive coaching. If you go out and become an executive coach and now you're talking to this business owner on helping them individually, that's a real easy transition to say, okay, let's also help you with, the growth of your company, or the exit, the valuation of it, stuff like that. So number one is have something in addition to it. Could be wealth planning, like you said, whatever. Because I notice a lot of people don't just wake up in the morning and think, oh, I want to exit my company. I wonder who I can talk to.
Right.
Most people are like, oh, I've got a problem with my operations, or I need to buy another equipment on my manufacturing floor and I can't figure out where to buy them. Or whatever that is, I need to refinance my loans, whatever. So have something else, and then introduce that this whole time you should be working on the value of your company too. Not just work in your business, work on the business.
Mm-hmm.
And most owners get that concept, number one. Number two, one of the things we do, I guess three, now that I think about it, certainly join an Exit Planning Institute chapter where
Mm-hmm.
you're rubbing shoulders with a lot of people and they're doing different stuff. And that opens up a lot of opportunities, a lot of learning. Just even if that's all you did is just learning. I think being a member of an Exit Planning Institute chapter is really vital. And then third, I would we have, you can steal this from us, but we created a business referral center. And what that means is they don't have to pay to be part of it. I just select my VIP network partners, fractional CFO, a fractional business broker, a fractional whatever it is. And whenever my clients need something, this is my approved list of people that my consultants can refer in. In addition to that, what we do is I don't refer one and then say, hey, give me some money from it. We always say, hey, I want to have a conflict of interest wall up. So we're going to refer two people. So I got two attorneys, I got two this, two that, and refer them, let the client make the decisions. But then what's happening is they start saying, hey, Mike brought me this lead, or,
Yeah.
company brought me this lead. And now you're on the forefront of their thoughts. And, so that's, I think, having an intentional network system. And then in addition to that, have a kind of like a baseball team or a football team, have a farm team. I met this person at a networking event. I'm not quite sure they're good enough to be on my business referral center, but I'll put them on my farm team. I'll get to know them a little bit. I'll work with them, see how they work, see how abundant they are. Are they just selfish, or are they thinking about everybody else too? All that kind of stuff. And so that's what we've done. Seems to be helping us at this point in time.
Yeah. We put in all my planning proposals that if you need assistance from another profession, we'll be happy to refer people to you. But just know they work for you. We do not accept or pay referral fees.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think that's helpful. Because otherwise you're just prostituting your mind and your connections.
Yeah, you just said it. It's a conflict of interest.
It's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, it's been a real pleasure. I enjoyed it immensely. I hope we can do it again somewhere down the road. Any last words that you wanted to squeeze in here?
Sure. I would just say, if your listeners, if you're doing something and you're using ExitMap and you need somebody to say, hey, this owner is still, it's founder-led sales, or they don't know how to get out, certainly happy to have a conversation with them. We'll direct them to someone in our business referral center, or we'll help you. And we'll stay out of the areas of ExitMap that you're working in, and just kind of help you. Anything we can do, because our mission, our value is really helping people achieve the American dream. So whatever we have to do that, we'll happy to come alongside, help you in any way.
Great, and that's one of the great pleasures of running ExitMap is so many of us are passionate about helping business owners, be successful and wind up where they want to wind up. Although some don't know where that is when we start with them.
That's so true, isn't it? That's so true.
Okay, it's been a pleasure, Mike. Thank you very much, and we'll be seeing you down the road, probably at the next DPI summit or wherever.
Sounds great. Have a great day, John.
You too. Take care.